Well, welcome everybody to this month's Engage and Grow webinar. Service industry, obviously for myself being in many service businesses, from the consulting and coaching businesses right through to my restaurants and catering companies and cleaning companies, all the service businesses have a special need or a special real reason why employee engagement is even higher than it is in many other companies. And so when we look at the customer experience and the employee experience and say, how does that fit with engagement and how does that lead to growth? I think that's really the subject of what we're looking at in today's webinar. And if you stick with us, we'll take you through the strategies that will help you improve customer experience and employee experience, that in turn will help you create engagement and thus create growth in the organization. So thanks for being on the webinar with us today. If you're a client of Engage and Grow, fantastic. If you're just learning about us for the first time, please make sure you hit engageandgrow.com and learn all about us and what we do and how we do it out there in the marketplace. You know, we go back all the way to Tom Peters. And for many, many moons and many decades, Tom Peters sort of led the theory of what it is. And I think it's really important to understand how when Tom was talking about and looking at what it takes to create great organizations, it was really about putting the people and the customers at the center of that organization. And I think there's nowhere more that is reality than in the service-based organizations that we represent out there in the marketplace. And if you're in service-based, obviously you understand that totally. Indeed, it has become, I guess, they're starting, because of the level of statistics and data they're collecting on employment and how people get employed, the level of necessity, I guess, they're putting into the human side of this industry, the service industry, is really important to us. And I think that when in their definition here, when they put things and differentiate it from manufacturing and production, differentiate it from other industries, it really does show the level of importance of the human in these organizations. There's a lot less automation and a lot more the people have to deliver rather than just the product or the system has to deliver. And I think that's an important part to us. If we take a look again at a different way, I guess, of saying it, services refer to transactions between a buyer and a seller without transferring any physical goods or commodities. Now, in some cases, there is a transfer of some goods and commodities, like the restaurant and hospitality business, where there really is a transfer of something, but it does bring us back to where they use the words here, ingenuity and skill and intelligence. I think it's that aspect of the service business means that our people skills, or the skills of our people and the human interaction and that way that they interact with each other is so vital in the aspects of what a service industry is. The overview of the industry, and of course, I know you can read a lot of this. I just want to pull out some of the important points as to why I believe this is a vital knowledge to us here today. And I go way back to, who was it that wrote that book? Selling the Invisible, Harry Beckwith. And he talked about making the intangibles tangible. And in this day and age, there's so much more intangibles in our society, so much more intangibles in the work we do, in the way we deliver it, because of the level of commoditization of the world. Having the human-to-human interaction is so very, very important. And I think that's an aspect that we need to remember. So, consumer, business, and public. Consumer services, as I mentioned, for me, you know, my restaurants, my commercial cleaning businesses, all of these are in that consumer aspect of what we do. The business services being Engage and Grow, Action Coach, my other companies that deliver in that business services aspect. And then, of course, your government or national public services are very different in the way that they go about delivering services as well. So it breaks it down. And I guess in the last since sort of 2020, the last 3-4 years, we've seen such a dramatic shift in many of the way these consumer services, business services, and public services are delivered. I mean, if you look at public services, we see back to, I mean, I remember researching how Michael Bloomberg, as mayor of New York, started moving the construction industry, the applications for construction, et cetera, all to digitizing all of these. So public services started moving digitization many moons ago. Business services been on a digitization. Consumer services, we see that where even fast food restaurants moving from having humans giving you taking your order to the machines punching in the order yourself type thing. And so how do these services use, engage, and grow, or how do these service-based businesses relate today to that customer experience and the employee experience and what we look at? So some of the things that are trending or impacting our thinking today, obviously remote work. Now, remote work isn't new, but it was forced upon us in many areas in the sort of 2020 onwards. And it's become, I guess, an expectation of team members and companies that there is a percentage of remote work capability. Customization and personalization of everything these days, Dan. I still remember the research study on the team in India where they looked at the difference between, and this was a call center basically. And so in this call center, they kept some people on regular induction programs. Some people, they gave them a sweater with the company name on it. And others, they gave them a sweater with the company name and their personal name on it. And the level of retention of employees with their own name on the sweater totally revolutionized their thinking, and therefore a lot of the world's thinking when you do this, understand the researchers to show exactly how it is personalization is impacting what we do out there in the marketplace and how we serve the customer, but also how we serve the team members that work in our organization. AI, artificial intelligence, again, I'm a bit of a slow adopter in certain things, meaning that people say, oh, this is going to change the world. It's going to revolutionize everything. Nothing's going to be the same. And I'm a bit of, well, I think about 80% of things are still going to be the same. And we're going to have some speed up and obviously some scaling factors coming from AI. But, even I was looking at our AI policy recently and saying, how do we make sure that we don't publish stuff written by AI, or should we, make that our policy and so on? And so all of these things are going to take a little bit of time. Gig economy expansion. I could spend hours on each of these trends, obviously, and you can go through each of them. But when we start to really think about the possibilities of where we're going and sustainability, if you can go back at my webinar on that, mobile first services, dang, that's shifting the way that our staffing and our team needs, our customer needs, all of these things are moving. Subscription-based services and looking at how they do retention of customers, and there's so much in that aspect. Demand for on-demand services, the omni-channel, robotics, automation, big data and analytics, or virtual reality. I mean, just the way I see my kids even relating to, and even myself, changing my workouts using virtual reality. All of these things are shifting. But if I take a look at the last three, and I think that they're probably three of the trends that I want to focus a bit more on today. Mental health and wellness, especially in the workplace, I think we saw a lot of that come through during the pandemic and specifically after the pandemic, with people wanting to, and because humans need humans, there is no two ways about it. The human connectivity, the human touch, the face-to-face. I just was reading a study out of Wharton University where they've basically now said that 1 hour of human face-to-face, like you and me together face-to-face, is worth 5 hours of virtual time. So virtual time is only worth 1/5 of a relationship building or the impact of human to human. And that's why conferences and, people always say, the internet's going to replace everything. I said, I'll still want to go to concerts. I'll still want to turn up and be there and experience it type thing. But the next one, the empathy and emotional intelligence. If we look at emotional intelligence, and obviously it's been a subject that's been around for quite some time, but emotional intelligence and empathy today in the service-based world is getting, there's so much more demand on our team members in a service or in a customer-facing situation that we've got to take this into account. As leaders of organizations, we have to be very clear on how we work with our people, through our people, how that customer experience happens, but also how the employee experience happens in that case. And ultimately, localism, that very local micro experience that we have in today's service world. Even though the world is globalizing, there's still that very local experience that cements a customer experience or a customer relationship with us. So if we break that down into 4 main areas of where we're seeing that characteristic of the future of service, I guess, the study and Liggs University study, if I take intangibility, let's break each one of them down, I guess, and then start from there. Intangible, that making the intangible tangible, making it's that way of saying, how do we take these things that are not tangible and turn them into something that someone can actually feel, touch, see, etc., and get that inseparability. We saw what happened with separation, but bringing it back, that human interaction, that humans of being there. Let me just go through and break each one down with a bit more detail for you. If we are in service, the level of ability to define it precisely is very low. Let's just put it that way. The level of, you can't just go, okay, if I'm selling you a car, yes, you can touch and feel it. If I'm selling you a service, you can't touch and feel or look at the service type thing. You're going to have to experience the service is ultimately what we're looking at. With inseparability, the service is, there's no separating the human interaction from the thing. If I sell you a car, I can separate the service from the machine type thing. You buy the car, it's a thing, you do that. For most services, the consumption of the service and the product happens simultaneously. It's not a separate thing that is happening. Now with variability, again, due to the variable nature of the humans, the conditions, the time of day, where it is, it's hard for that standard and systemization to be at a level that it would be with, say, a manufacturing of a product or of a product, sorry. And then finally, with perishability, it's the old, I remember when I was back in radio days, and once that time slot is gone, that radio ad is gone. And it's the same with the service. Once it's been done, it's been done. It's sort of, there's no going back and, with the car, you buy it, you can use it, and then you can use it again, and then you could use it again. The service is done, it's over, it's experienced type thing. And that word experience is of massive importance for us in this area, because how do we experience a service, or how you and your customers experience the service is what really brings that level of loyalty. And so for you, in the experience with your team members, the employee experience, for you with your experience with your customers, we've got to give that level, or we've got to gain that level of loyalty. And we're aiming to gain that level of engagement and therefore that level of growth through our team and through our customer base. And so when we look at all of the different areas that create that quality of service, from responsiveness to the technology, empathy, reliability, the assurance, the tangibility factors, that leads to the customer being satisfied or delighted or underwhelmed, I guess, in some cases, and therefore the level of loyalty is determined based on that. So it really is important for us to understand just how much the experience in today's commoditized world is vital to the level of customer loyalty and the level of team member loyalty. So just going into some details around this stuff. 1 in 3 customers will leave a brand they love after just one bad experience. You think about that. You could have 100 great experiences with a customer, but one negative experience and they're gone. They say goodbye. That to me is such a massive thing. And you see this with employees as well. You know, employees could have a great experience there, but one bad experience and they're gone. Now, 2 or 3 negative experiences shows that basically 100% of people are gone. 92, you know, there's 8%. I think that's still your mum and your brother. They're still shopping with you, but everyone else is gone type thing after 2 or 3 bad experiences. And that to me just shows how much putting time and energy into the humans in our company so that they can put time and energy. I think it's, you know, I've referred to this for many years, saying how you take care of your people determines how well they take care of your customer, determines how well the customer takes care of the business. So it's really important from that perspective to say it. Now, 4 in 10 consumers' future purchases are decided by the way they have their experience with your brand today. Now, I get that doesn't seem a lot, but let me help you understand that what this means is that 4 out of 10 people won't even bother looking elsewhere if their experience is good or great. So if I've got a good experience with you or a great experience with you, I don't even bother doing any research. I just automatically come back to making a purchase. Now, that doesn't mean the other 6 won't come back. It just means that 4 out of 10, 40%, if they've had a great experience, a good or a great experience, they will come back. And that's just money in the bank. So our experience of our team members and our experience of our customers is vital from that perspective. Now, when we start looking at it from customer experience, the risk to a company of not continually improving. Now, let me give you an example of why I say it this way. I go back to, okay, I was just in a hotel. I went down to Monterrey, Mexico to deliver at a conference. And at that conference, when I was speaking, I expected there to be Wi-Fi in the whole hotel. I expected the Wi-Fi to work everywhere I went. I expected a single sign-in. And in many cases these days, I kind of even expect the Wi-Fi to be free without even having to log in. Just hit accept the terms and I'm in. You know, even these days, having to enter my name and room number is kind of a pain in the backside. I'm getting to a point where hotels won't even do that. Now, let's go backwards 5 years. 5 years ago, you didn't expect free Wi-Fi in hotels. There might be free Wi-Fi in the lobby or that. Now, go back 10 years, you didn't expect Wi-Fi in a hotel. You expected dial-up or when they had the Cat5 cables in each room. They were either red or blue, and you plugged them into the wall and plugged them into your computer type thing. The demands of customers shift over time. If we look at what Amazon has done, Amazon has trained us as human beings to expect 2-click purchasing. Amazon has trained us to expect 2-day delivery. Amazon is now training us to expect 1-day delivery. You know, we're being trained with what we expect. So when we look at it and the market says, okay, if we don't improve our customer experience, we believe that we are going to have a severe risk of losing market share. Now, notice it doesn't say if we don't improve the product. Now, that definitely has to continuously happen. But the customer experience that you believed was good last year won't be good this year. What was great last year will be just good this year. What was amazing last year will be great next year. And so every year we've got to continuously look at that experience for our customer and our team. I don't want to ever discount the fact that employee experience is just as important as customer experience in these factors. 74%. Now let's understand what this one actually means. At least somewhat likely to buy based on experience alone. Companies with initiatives to improve their customer experience see employee engagement increase by an average of 20%. So what do we mean? What we mean is that if you improve the customer experience, so too do you improve the employee experience. Just by making it better for the customers, it becomes better for the team. Because if you make it better for the customers, you've got happier customers. Now, happier customers means happier team members. If they're dealing with less frustrations, less issues, less problems, their day is better. So improving the customer experience improves the employee experience and improves employee retention. And here at Engage and Grow, what do we say? If we engage our team more, then we get better growth. Now, here's the kind of spiral factor of this. If the customer experience gets better, we increase engagement. Now, if we increase engagement, we're going to increase the customer experience. So it's like a thing. So focusing on that customer experience as a service-based business has a double whammy effect of improving not just the customer's experience, but the employee's experience, which gives you the triple whammy of the employee experience being better. Therefore, they do more for customer engagement. So we really need to put some energy and effort into our customer experience and what that looks like. So people and process. How do we break down the customer experience in the two sides of it? Obviously, the process has to be supportive and not get in the way of the customer experience. Obviously, it has to make the job of the team members easier, not harder. Too many times we see companies put in a system that, and none of the team use it. And they're like, well, why is no one in the company using the system? Because your system made their job harder, not easier. I remember back to when ISO first became a massive thing and everyone's doing their ISO accreditation. And it really was just documenting whatever you did, no matter how good, bad, or indifferent it was. And ultimately, a lot of that ISO work made the people's job harder. The systems that we're focusing on, or the processes that we're focusing in on here today, are about making our team members' jobs easier to help the customer, not harder to help the customer. I'm sure you've been to places where, well, I'm sorry, that's our policy. Oh, listen, that's just a dumb policy. You know, you're making it harder on your team. If your team have to say to a customer, well, I'm sorry, that's our policy. I'm sorry, that's the way we do it here. I'm sorry, that's... If they have to start with, I'm sorry, your processes need evolution. Your processes need work and your policies definitely need work. Okay. Now, when it comes to the people, the level with which they are given empowerment, but also the level with which they're trained. They can't outperform their training. If they're not trained in communication, they're not going to outperform their communication training. If they're not trained in how to engage customers, how to build relationships, if there's no training in the people, then it's very hard for them to feel empowered because they don't know what they're doing and they don't know how to do it. So, great employee experience. And if you go back to some of my other webinars about onboarding and about diversity, equity, inclusion, if you look at all my other webinars around these subjects, and if you are new to Engage and Grow, they're also in ebooks, so you can download the ebooks and share those with your team as well. All of this is on engageandgrow.com. The videos are all on our Engage and Grow YouTube channel, as well as on the main website. So, engaged employees more engagement with customers. It's just pretty simple. More engaged customers, the more they take care of the business, because they give referrals, they do social media posts, they come back more often. They're just better customers. And so whether it's the customer experience we start with first or the employee experience we start with first, it really doesn't matter. But my gut feel is that you're not going to build a better customer experience until you build a better employee experience. See, if you build the people, they'll build the better customer experience process. If you train the people, they'll take care of the customers better than they would have before. So if you can see how in a service industry, engage the people, they engage the customer, and therefore the customer becomes engaged in the business. Now, where that links in, I guess, is sort of where I feel we at Engage and Grow are a very big part of the service companies that we represent and we coach and mentor and assist out there in the marketplace. The customer experience, employee experience, I think I've shown you today, are intrinsically linked. You can't have disengaged employees and expect a great customer experience type thing. And you can't have a great customer experience and expect disengaged employees. So you've got to engage the two, because no matter how good the system that you build for customer experience, if you've got disengaged people, they will break that system. It's simple. Thank you, Tim, for that wonderful way of putting that. Employee experience, customer experience, let's engage them together. If you've never worked with us, Engage and Grow, have us come in, have us work with your team, and bring those two together. So some essential notes of understanding on this, and I'll come to our 6 steps in just a moment and how that all falls into place. Double-edged sword, two-sided coin, whichever way you want to look at it, at the end of the day, if you've got great customer experience, great employee experience, you've got engagement, you've got growth. That to me is what it is. Great, the two of them together, huge growth for the organization. Split them apart, lack of growth for the organization is probably the best way to put that. So contribution comes from engagement, and whether that's contribution from your customers, see, a really engaged customer will give you great feedback. A really great customer will help you grow the business. A disengaged customer, when you ask them, how was your meal? Oh, it was good. You know, they don't say anything. They just move along and don't come back type thing. Well, with the 6 steps and the way we look at it, to the high performance customer experience, employee experience, all of these things, when we move from red through to green, meaning we move through the 6 steps of engagement, and if you want to work through one of our 12-week programs, please do check in with us here as to exactly, or go back to the coach that put you onto this video, or click to find a coach. What we see happening day in and day out is that as you move into that engaged and growth factor, the customer just gets a better experience. That when the people are more passionate, more excited, more engaged, the customer cannot do anything but feel that when they're a part of the organization. It's even though it's totally intangible, it's fully tangible in the experience for the customer and how they get to relate to your business. So touching on artificial intelligence for a moment. Look, will our service businesses be impacted by artificial intelligence? 100%. Will, if you've got a customer service line with a human who has to have learned all of the details of all of the products, all the programs to be able to answer the questions, that's going to be replaced by artificial intelligence. You know, that computer can learn every product and its dimensions and all of those things and answer questions at a rate that no human can possibly do. It just is going to move in that direction. I see some of the technologies we're using today to answer phone calls, to set appointments, to make phone calls, that you would swear it was a human calling you, but we now know it's not. Some of these are going to be there. I remember when Mike Bash, who was one of the founding vice presidents of Federal Express, Mike sort of sat us down, gosh dang, I'm guessing 1993 or 94, I guess, maybe 95, when Mike sort of taught us this. And he said, 80% of tasks in a business are routine. 80% of tasks will be done over and over again, whether they're done hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, but 80% of it is routine, and you have to systematize the routine and humanize the exception. What we're going to have happen through AI is the same as what we saw through robotics, okay? Robotics allowed us to, on a physical field, do tasks at a level that they couldn't be done with the accuracy, they couldn't be done with the repetitiveness, that they couldn't be done by humans, okay? That is what robotics brought to the hard aspect of the manufacturing, the delivery of things, the pick and pack, the conveyor belt systems, all of that sort of stuff, where we've seen that automation become a reality. Well, what we're now seeing is automation of the soft side of business, automation of the phone calls, those sorts of things. And that's going to be there. And that's not to say that it means companies won't need people. It'll free the people up to do the tasks that do need the human interaction, that do need those things. So we're looking at it from that perspective. The same as robotics allowed us to have efficiencies, AI will allow us in the soft side of business to build efficiencies, though. So I think that that's an aspect of it. And if you look at the breakdown here between the complexity and the automated, I think that you're going to see that, and whilst, maybe those routine tasks won't all be able to be handled by robotics, computers, AI, etc., I think a lot of them will, over a period of time, do that. But as we saw, robotics is still not today across all companies, and it's been around how long? And we say, oh, AI is going to change the world in a week. No, AI is going to take about the same amount of time as robotics to change the world. Just down in Monterey and the Kia factory, they're looking at the level of robotics that manufactures those automobiles, and the reduction in the number of team members, et cetera, over a 40-year period from when VW first started manufacturing cars there in Monterey. It's been massive, and it'll take that amount of time, I believe, maybe a bit faster for AI to remove a lot of that, but the human touch will never go away. I don't think it's ever going to go away. I still like having a human serve me at a restaurant, and I'm pretty sure you do too. We'll see how long that goes for. So, core notes to finish us out for the day. If you've got any questions, by the way, please feel free to type those into the chat window. Always happy to dive in and answer any questions you have about any aspect of what it takes for us to do this today. Engagement equals better customer experience. Pretty simple. Excellent customer experience increases employee engagement. It's a double-sided coin, two-edged sword, whichever way you want to put it. That's what is going to need to happen. If we want referrals, we want repeat business, we've got to do both of those. Customer experience today, the strategy that we put into it, it's not... The crazy thing about it is it doesn't take a genius to work out customer experience. You know what it takes? It takes someone to sit down and chat with a few customers, ask them what they need and want, and get that at least at the very basics. Then it takes a genius to start thinking about what do they not even know they want type thing. What do they not know that is there? And this is where, the greatest thing, and I heard a great quote yesterday about AI saying that the challenge with artificial intelligence is that it's based on historic knowledge, and historic knowledge can only do so much. And if you're creating content based on historic knowledge, it's just going to be historic content. If you want to create something revolutionary, it's going to take human thought. It's going to take connecting things that it hasn't. And so I think that that's a few parts of it, but the basics, start with that for your CX, then start innovating based on top of that. But make sure, as a great manager of mine once said to me, said, Brad, our job as managers is to remove excuses. Remove pain points for customers. That's your first thing. Get rid of all the pain points. Get rid of the negativities. Get rid of the blockages. Get rid of the bottlenecks that stop customers having a great experience, and then move on to doing the amazing things. The airline I flew with the other day, not only was it a great experience, but I sat down in Houston Airport and through the automated system ordered a drink and a sandwich, and I scanned my airline thing off my phone onto it, and the airline bought me my sandwich and drink on my layover. And see, that's where technology can take you to an amazing customer experience. But now, if the airline lost my luggage, wouldn't care if they bought me the sandwich and everything, I'd still be annoyed, if that makes sense. Get the basics right and then jump to that massive part of it. I think that's important. High performance necessary for good customer experience. You got to have high performing people if you want to do it. And I think that's an aspect of what we're looking at. If you want to use some of our diagnostic tools, have a chat with your Engage and Grow coach, have them come on in and chat with you and your team and look at how we do it. If we can help build the people, they'll build the customer experience. You engage the people, they engage the customers. It starts with you as the leader wanting engaged team members so that they can then engage the customer. If you just start with the customer experience, remember, disengaged people will break the customer experience. We've got to engage your people so that we can grow that customer experience and then grow that end result called your business. So wherever you are in the world, find us, track us down, engageandgrow.com. Yeah. Questions, onboarding. Yeah, okay, so I mentioned onboarding. I did do a whole webinar on onboarding, so jump on that. It's on the YouTube channel or on engageandgrow.com. There's also an ebook on that subject. So yes, in the service industry, how you onboard people determines how you retain them. It determines how they are engaged with the company, and therefore it determines how well they engage the customer. So the level of engagement and growth. Kiosks, okay, computers and kiosks taking over human interaction, such a big impact. You know, interestingly enough, and so, sorry, the question is about how the kiosks and all of that. About 40%, current research is showing that just over 40% of people would prefer to not deal with a human when making a purchase transaction. Current research also shows that customers want to be 70 or 80% of the way through a transaction before they speak with a customer. So in other words, they want to do their research online in order to be able to be ready to talk to a salesperson. They don't want to have to ask the basic questions to a salesperson. They want to read, study, and do that. So I don't see that the kiosks and the computers are getting in the way of the future. Now, this also does depend on age group. The younger the age group, the more they want to use their phone or a kiosk or something to order. The older the age group, the more they want to actually be on the telephone, not on their phone as a tablet, but they want to speak to a human or go and meet a human. I know my dad, he will not go, he won't do a telehealth session. He will not do a doctor visit over the computer. Whereas for me, I'm like, really? I have to come in? Why do I need to come in there? Can't I just, I know the dentist, I've got to go to the dentist soon. And that one, you actually have to go in type thing. They've got to do the cleaning. But ultimately, I don't see it as being a negative that we're using computers and moving to more transactions on phones, tablets, etc. I see that as just the way the world is moving, and it frees up a lot of humans to go and do other work that makes the life of all humanity better. On that note, I'll say thanks for being here with us today. Chat with your Engage and Grow coach, jump on engageandgrow.com. Look forward to working with you and your team and helping you get more engagement and therefore more growth in your business. Take care. Bye for now.